So the last piece of the puzzle is a trust. So look, what's happened in the past, a lot of accountants or advisors have recommended that you run your business through a family trust. Now look, I think that was good advice several years back, but the problem is things have changed, and really a trust, without getting way into it, a trust really came out about in England many years ago, and it's really their whole legal system was based on land ownership, and if you weren't male or of the right age, then you actually couldn't own land. So, you know, if your father was an earl or a lord or a baron, and they got killed, then the potential of your lands getting thrown back to the crown were pretty high. So what you did was, if you knew you were going away on an adventure to go and fight whoever in some foreign land, you would put your family home into a thing called a trust, and you'd have your next door neighbour, who's probably a really good mate, and he would act as the trustee of the trust, and then at the time that your children were old enough, they were called the beneficiaries, and then the assets inside the trust would then pass on to the beneficiaries. So once again, it is another legal entity. It can sue and be sued, it can do a whole range of stuff, but basically there's a thing called a trustee, the person who looks after it. So basically sometimes accountants had set up family businesses through a family trust. Now that used to be fine, and what it also meant is that you could stream income depending on how you wanted to do it, because it was called discretionary. Now a little bit of a problem happened. Tax Department a few years ago came through with a thing called anti-avoidance provisions. And basically what that was, look, we don't mind you doing stuff that is totally legal, but if you do it for the sole purpose of trying to not pay tax, we're actually going to deem that illegal. So just think about it. You've got a plumber and a wife. Plumber earns all the money comes into the trust splits it 50-50. Well, the tax department could come back and say, hang on, that's not fair, because the partner, not necessarily the wife, the partner who's at home, doing that sort of work, isn't entitled to 50%, because we have to pay a proper wage to the person. So a lot of people had set up these trusts years ago, and look, it's changed a bit. And basically what it means is that's active income through the trust. So another way that you can actually set up a trust where you still have the benefits of streaming income is as being a passive investor. So you can have the company as the thing that's running the business, you can pay the shareholders, pay the employees who are ever working, and the money comes into the trust. Now, that means that the trust owns the shares of that business, and you distribute their income as the trustee deems fit. So primarily what you're trying to do is you're trying to save the asset. So if the family business is the greatest asset, and you personally do something wrong, then you personally can get bankrupted. But if the shares in the family business are held in a trust, it's a separate legal entity. So basically, this is what a lot of rich people have done over the years to try and protect their assets. I mean, we've all heard these people, multi-million-dollar businesses, everything goes down and they're still living in million-dollar houses. Christopher Skase, Alan Bond, who knows anywhere else. So they use these vehicles in order to protect their assets. Now, it's not for everybody, okay? So I've got a couple of my clients who got sold into trusts without getting a full explanation of what's happening. It is complicated. If it wasn't, everybody would do it. But it's all about your whole profile about running your business and how you protect that business for yourself and for your kids and for your grandkids, and the inheritance and protection of that assets for generations. A trust as an operating entity, I don't see many benefits in that anymore, except the fact that you can stream some of the income, and it also means that that business is protected. Some of the downsides is that when somebody buys, somebody cannot buy into a family trust. So if you have your business operating as a family trust, you can't get partners into that. Having a trust as a shareholder of your company, I'd really like, because it means that the shares are held in trust, which means that they're separate from you personally. It also means that if you want more people to come and put money into your business, you can get other shareholders. It's like, you know, having BHP as the company, I can be a shareholder and a million other people can be shareholders. You also have an ability to manage the tax implications when the dividends come through the business. It is a little bit more complicated, but anything easy is not worth having, is it? The downsides of having a trust as a shareholder of a company are obviously the initial setup fees and the ongoing costs. So you've got to make sure that there's enough money in there to justify the costs. Now, there are other trusts as well. A self-managed super fund is actually a trust. Fixed interest trusts, where you see that you deposit money with the bank and you get a certain amount of shares, that's a trust as well. It's a pretty big topic, but I think that covers most of it. And we're always here if somebody wants a bit more explanation.